Hello, family. Hello, hello. It is Self Care Saturday. Hello, everybody. It's Self Care Saturday. How's everybody? Come on in. Come on in. Such a pleasure to be with you again this Saturday. How's everybody doing? It is a beautiful day, and from what I'm seeing on TV, it looks like it's beautiful in most places. Like we've got some great weather. So that is a blessing. Always good for your self care when the sun is out. How's everybody? I'm going to give it a minute for everybody to kind of jump in here. I just want to be before you for a few minutes. It's Self Care Saturday. Hi, Sora Emily. Thank you for joining me. Welcome. It's Self Care Saturday. Y'all know I tell y'all every week it's my favorite day of the week. I usually get to take a little stock of things and organize and relax a little bit. Haven't done as much of that here lately. Things have been kind of crazy. Had a photo shoot yesterday, and so between that and work, I have been quite busy this week. But God is good, and we are all here on Self Care Saturday. So I'm going to give it a few more seconds, and then we're going to hop right in. I hope you guys are having a great weekend thus far, that you have done something for yourselves. Hey, hey, how are you, Toya? Thank you for joining me. Good to have you here. Hi, Brittany. Thank you for joining me. Um, yeah, it's been a busy week. It has been a busy week. I find myself saying that more and more. I thought I was busy before, but it's a little out of control right now. God is good. He's still in the blessing business. So let's press forward. Alrighty. So you guys know who I am. I'm Dr. Kelly, your board certified internal medicine physician, patient care advocate, speaker, and soon to be author. I help my patients become better advocates and receive better healthcare outcomes. It is my goal to end healthcare disparities. You guys are already following me on Facebook, so thank you so much. If you haven't already, please go over on Instagram. And I am Dr. Kelly on Instagram. That's DoctorKelllee. Also, please like and share this video. Somebody on your timeline may need to have this word of encouragement. So let's hop right in. So, what are we talking about today? Today, we're going to talk about mastering the art of the pivot. Okay. And most of us have probably already been doing this without even really giving it a formal name, right? I think 2020 has been the year of the pivot. Like, okay, we're gonna go left. You go left, and you're like, just kidding. Maybe we should double back. Let's try going right and see if we can change how this is working. So, um, I just want to talk to you briefly about your mindset and about ways to master the art of the pivot. We are in uncertain times in more ways than one. And a lot of times things don't go the way we planned. Okay, I'm going to say that one more time. We are in uncertain times, and most of the time, I will say things don't always go to plan, right? So it may not be a major thing, it may not be a catastrophe, but something usually goes a little off kilter and it forces you to have to make some adjustments, right? So that's basically what a pivot is. It's basically taking the circumstances, though they're not ideal, and turning them into the result that you wanted or you needed. Okay. So why are we talking about this? And what in the world does it have to do with self-care? Well, we tend to, especially if you're like me and you're type A and you plan everything and it's on your calendar and it's at this time and it needs to go at this time because there's something else immediately following it. And if that thing is off, then the next thing is off and it just throws your day off. And then you get in this headspace of frustration because things are not going quite the way you envision. And so as a part of our self-care, especially for the things that we can't control. We can't always control. the things that happen on our jobs. We can't always control the things that happen in and within our families. We kind of just wake up, we get this set of cards, and we woke up expecting the day to look like this, but it looks like that. And so, as a part of your self care, it is really important that we learn some tactics, some tools to help us manage our stress, to help us manage our expectations. So, that's why we're talking about this on Self Care Saturday, because I think it's really important. And again, I don't ever, come to you as an expert on the thing as far as, oh my God, I have it mastered and I'm doing it, right? Most of the time, I'm talking to myself. Most of the time, the words that I'm speaking are also things that I am either actively working on or need to work on. So let's hop in. Number one, keep your goals in perspective, right? So things aren't working out exactly like you planned, but what's the goal? Why did you set out to do this thing? What's your why? Okay. What are you looking to accomplish? If you keep your eye on the prize, so to speak, then it helps you to figure out, okay, I'm over here at point A. I need to get over there to point B. And I realized that I got turned around and now I'm facing a different direction, but I still know that point B is where I'm going. How do I get there? And so it helps us to, really be clear on what we're intending to do, how we're intending to do it, and the fact that we're determined that we're going to do it. Right. So we've all been in that place where you had something that had to get done. You had no idea how it was going to get done. You didn't have the bandwidth for it. You didn't have the energy or the strength for it, at least so you thought, but you knew you had to press and push through. Right. So keep it in perspective. I understand that this is not happening the way I envision or the way I intended, but it's happening nonetheless, right? And we have to be willing to look at situations from a different viewpoint or a different vantage point. Look at it from different angles because there's more than one way to get to that same end, right? So we need to be in tune with what our perspectives are. Hello, happy Self Care Saturday. Thank you so much to you guys who are just joining us and just jumping in. We're just talking a little bit today about the art of the pivot, how to master the art of the pivot. 2020 has been challenging for a lot of us, me in so many ways, personally, professionally. It's just a lot happening, and I find myself always having to pivot because my expectations for how things are going to roll out have yet to manifest in 2020. Things are going their own way, and I am still focused on attaining certain things and reaching certain goals. So I have to be intentional about making sure that still happens, but it requires a pivot, right? So number one was to keep your perspective, remember your why. And you will get there. Okay. Number two, remain positive. Mindset is so important. It matters. It definitely matters. If you are determined to do something, you will do it. And you won't let anything deter you, whether that means it takes you a little longer, you have to take a different path, the way you intended to get there doesn't look the way you envision, but I've made up in my mind that I'm going. And so no matter what comes, the old folks used to say, come hell or high water, I'm going to get this thing done, right? And so you have to practice the law of attraction. My business coach, Dr. Drayon Birch, is really big on mindset, as well as Dr. Carol Penn, who works with us. About your mindset and about the law of attraction. So you put positive out there, you get positive back. You can't help but attract what you are. And so, for so many people, that looks different. Some people that might be just prayer, some people that might be meditation, that might be yoga, it may be a combination, but you have to get your mind right in order to be able to pivot. And having your mind right is really all pivoting is saying, okay, cool, no problem. That didn't work. We're going to try it this way. That's a mindset principle, and it allows you to reframe, adjust, pivot, and keep it moving. And you are still in touch with what your goal is. Um, so that's number two. Number three is re envision the plan. Oftentimes we want to, we abort things that God intended for us to see through to fruition. And we abort the plan because it doesn't look like what we thought, right? We thought we're supposed to do X, Y, and Z, and it was going to happen in that sequence, in that order, in this time. And it didn't happen that way. And then you start to doubt, right? And then you start to get into your head about maybe I was wrong. Maybe I misinterpreted. Maybe I didn't understand. And a lot of times we come into contact with barriers and things that come to challenge our mindset, kind of a how bad do you want it kind of a thing, right? Most things that we have attained didn't come easy, and it something happened along the way where you had to readjust your mindset and you had to um, figure out, okay, what's happening here and make adjustments. And some of us have to re-envision the plan, right? So I plan to do it this way. It's not working. This isn't coming, this is not giving me fruitful results. Let me rethink this. There's another way to do this. I know there is. So how can I accomplish my goal? Remember, number one, keeping your goals in perspective. How can I accomplish this another way? Does it mean that I need to reset the goal or adjust my time frame to achieve the goal? Does it mean something else has to happen first? That's basically what this step entails. It's just taking stock of, wait a minute, where are we in the plan? What's preventing me from getting from point A to point B? What needs to happen? And doing just that thing, right? So, thank you so much for you guys who are just joining me. Today, we are talking about mastering the art of the pivot. And we are really just kind of getting into some things that we can do on a practical level to help us to cope with our ever chaotic lives. And then on top of that, we live in a chaotic world. And sometimes life throws a monkey wrench at you, and you have to pivot and make, you still have things you have to do. You still have to have things, you still have things you have to accomplish. But how do we accomplish them? Um, in a different way. So if you guys are watching this live, I appreciate it so much. Thank you for joining me for Self Care Saturday. If you are watching this as a replay, please put hashtag replay. And I appreciate you so much for joining me. So, step one was to keep your goals in perspective. Remember what the goal is, remember what your why is. Number two was to remain positive. Remember that your mindset matters. How you think about a thing will change the outcome. It will definitely have an impact on whether or not you achieve it and in what fashion you achieve it. And then number three was re-envision the plan. So who cares how you get there as long as you get there? So I'll share a little bit of my story. So I've wanted to be a doctor since I was a little girl, like literally a little girl. My school had career day, and every year pretty much I was a doctor. Like nobody had to, reinvent the wheel or figure out what Kelly was going to be because I'd already said what I wanted to be. So it really became more of a thing of like, what could my dad buy or get that would enhance my doctor, the look of me being a doctor. So my grandmother was the HR administrator for Cook County Hospital in Chicago. So she got a lab coat for me. And then my dad started buying medical equipment. So I had my first stethoscope and I was probably in third or fourth grade. Then I got a blood pressure cuff. Then I got a reflex hammer. So I just started accumulating these things, right? So I was always pretty clear on what I wanted to do. It was just a matter of how to get there and what the path was going to be, right? And of course, like anyone else, when you start off a journey, you think, okay, you're going to go straight there. I'm going to go to high school, going to go to college, going to go to medical school, just like that. I'll be done by this age, you know how we do. We have everything mapped out. We have it all thought out in our minds, right? And so it didn't work out that way for me. So I ended up moving to Pittsburgh. I went to a post baccalaureate program for a year um, and did really well and needed to enhance my science GPA from undergrad, which I wasn't anticipating. Like I, it just wasn't a part of the plan. But I had to make decisions and had to decide, how bad do you want it? How bad do you want to get there? And, I just couldn't see myself being anything else. I thought about being an EMT for a little while. I thought about, well, maybe I'll go and be a physician's assistant. And I just couldn't get with it. I was like, I don't ever want to be in that role looking over at someone else going, that's what I should be doing. So I put that out of my mind very quickly and pressed forward to doing what I wanted to do. And did post back program, did great, and kept it moving. And here I am. Like I said again, even after that, I applied to 11 medical schools. I got waitlisted for all 11, 11, and I cannot understand why. And I couldn't figure out what was wrong, and how or why this was happening. Well, God does all things well, and He knows better than we do. And so, my father passed away in January of 2004, and I would have been in the middle of my first year of medical school. And so, I came to figure out later that that was the reason why I didn't get in to medical school the first time around, was because I wouldn't have made it. I would not have made it. It really was a gut punch and took so much out of me. And I still struggle to this day. Some years are good, some years are not. But it was such a big thing. And medical school is so stressful and so, I mean, every single thing about it was stressful. From grades was stressful. Then your test is stressful. Like we just had so much anxiety with checking up for our grades and, competing to be in the top 10% in the class, which we finally got over that probably about 6 weeks into school, because everybody was a straight A student. So being in the top 10% just didn't even, it was like ridiculous. So I say all that to say that I am where I am today because I pivoted, because I realized that, okay, I still want it and I just have to figure out how to get there. And so, long story short, reapplied and got in. So it just wasn't my time. And so we have to really be careful about the seeds that we plant in our minds and the seeds that we let others plant, because not now doesn't mean never. And it doesn't mean a no. So if something is heavy on your heart to do, something that God has purpose for you to do, plan for you to do, something that you just can't shake, then it may require a pivot. It may require you to do some things differently. And so for number four, I wanted to talk about having a plan B, because so many times we, set our sights on something and we have in our heads exactly how it's going to go down, but we don't always have a realistic, workable plan B. And so for some people, they may see that as, oh, well, you're just setting yourself up to fail, or, that's not the way you should do it, or this or that or the other thing. And in some situations, that may be true. But for the vast majority of things, if this doesn't work, then I'm going to do what? Right? So we've all seen that if then proposition. So we need to have our heads in the game at all times. Another thing that my business coach always says is, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. You be ready, right? Be so ready that when something happens, you're unbothered by it, because I already got a plan B. I'm already anticipating what's going to happen, or what could happen. So I'm already positioned to make a move one way or the other. So if this job calls me today and says, "Hey, listen, we longer need your services," you can be like, "Okay, cool, no problem. Let me just pivot over here and do this other thing that I already had lined up and ready to go." Or it just means that you are anticipating the possibilities, right? We all love stability. We all love to say those words, always or never, right? I will always have a job. I'll never be in this situation. And that was true for most physicians. COVID proved that that was incorrect. There were a lot of physicians that got laid off or furloughed because their hospitals weren't making money during COVID, because so many people were not coming to the hospital. And rightfully so, people have a right to make those choices. That's fine. But the thing of it is that my profession was always seen as fail proof. You couldn't fail. You will always have a job, and that got put to the test during COVID. So you always want to be a step ahead of the game. It's kind of like when they used to tell us back in college, if you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. Same premise here, right? If you are reacting in the moment as things are happening, you're behind already. You're late already. So anticipate what your next move would be. Think about it. If your job suddenly said, "Hey, you know what? We went bankrupt. We don't have any money." Are you out of a job? Do you not have a plan B or a plan C in place? How would that affect your household? So we have to really start thinking about things differently and being proactive. Think about things like a business thinks about things, right? And we just got to be prepared to shift gears at a moment's notice. So all of that is very important, and it keeps us from stressing in the moment because we've already done the footwork. We've already got the groundwork laid. We just got to put the plan into action. So that's really all I have for you today. Let's just recap very quickly. For those of you who are just joining us or who may have joined us late, we are talking about mastering the art of the pivot in 4 ways. So, number one was basically keep your goal in perspective. What are you trying to accomplish? Why are we trying to do this? And that will drive your decisions. Remain positive. Your mindset matters. If you put out there positivity, you can't help but get that back, and you will achieve what you set out to accomplish. Number three, re envision the plan. Sometimes you need to see your plan differently, see it through a different lens. Um, Figure out how you can accomplish it in a different way, right? Without really compromising the end result. And lastly, four, always have a plan B. Be ahead of the game. So, what is my exit strategy if I need it? I hope I don't need it, but if I need it, it's here. I have it, and I know exactly how I'm going to accomplish the goal. So, those are the steps today, and I hope it helps to enhance your self care, because being prepared definitely reduces your stress level. It keeps you from being anxious and always going moment to moment. And that is super important, especially in these tumultuous times that we're living in. There's so much civil unrest. You just never know what may pop off at any given time. And so we just need to be prepared. We need to have a plan, and it needs to be thought out. And we just need to remember that no is just means it may not be a no, it may be a not right now. Alrighty, so thank you guys so much for always supporting me, for being right here with me on Saturdays, sometimes Sundays. But thank you for being here, for supporting Dr. Kelly. There's so much to come, so many things that God is doing. And so I appreciate you, and I hope you enjoy the rest of Self Care Saturday. Do something for yourself. It is so important to do so. I love you guys, and I will see you guys next week. Be blessed. Have a great one. Thank you so much.